I Have Pleasure to You by Martin Luther King Jr. I have a dream. I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been scared. In the flames of withering injustice, it came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of Negroes is still sadly corrupted by the manacles of segregation and the chain of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still language in the corners of American society and finds himself and find himself and finds himself as and finds himself an exile in his own land. And so we've come here today to dramatize a shameful condition. In a sense, we've come to our nation capital to cast a check when the architect of our fabric wrote the magnificent word of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. They were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fold here. Their note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as a white man, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of the color are concerned. Instead of honoring this scared obligation, America has given the Negros people a bad check. A bad check which has come back marked insufficient fund. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great valves of opportunity of this nation. And so we've come to cast this check, a check that will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice. We have also come to this hollow spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all God's children. It will be it will it will be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the moment. This sweltering summer of the Negroes, legitimate discontent will not pass until there is an big 1, 2, 3 and, and until there is an until this invigorating autumn of freedom of and until this invigorating autumn of freedom and equality. 1963 is not an end, but a beginning. And those who hoped the Negroes needed to blow up steam and will not be content will have a rude awakening if this nation return to business as usual, and there will be neither rest nor tranquility. And there will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is granted his citizen rights. The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundation of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges. But there is something that I must say to people. But there is something that I must say to my people. We stand on the warm threshold which lead into a place. We stand on the warm dr- we stand on the warm threshold which lead into the place of justice. In the process of gaining our rightful place, we must not be guilty of wrongful deeds. Let us not seek to satisfy our our thirst of free our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must not allow our creative protest to de- degenerate into physical violence again and again. We must rise to the majestic heights of meaning, physical force with soul force. The marvelous new mili- the marvelous new militancy which has engulfed the Negroes community must not lead us to a distrust of all white people. For many our white brothers, as evidenced by their presence here today, have come to realize their destiny is tied up with our destiny. And they have come to realize that their freedom is the intricably freedom is in freedom is inextricably bound to our freedom. We cannot walk alone, and as we walk, we must make the pledge that we shall always march ahead. We can we cannot turn back. There are there are those who are asking the devotes of civil rights, when will you be satisfied? We can never be satisfied as long as the Negros is the victim of the unspeakable honors of the police brutality. We can never be satisfied as long as our bodies heavy with the fatigue of travels cannot gain lodging in the motels of the highways and the hotels of the cities. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro's basic mobility is from a smaller ghetto, a larger one. We cannot never be satisfied as long as our children are stripped of their selfhood and robbed of their dignity by signs stating for whites only. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negros Mississippi cannot vote and the Negro is the New York believe he has nothing for which to vote. No, no, we are not satisfied and we will not be satisfied until justice rules down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. I am not a mindful that some I am not, I am not a mindful that some of you have their I am not unmindful that some of you have come here out of great trials and tribulations. Some of you have come fresh from narrow jail cells, and some you have come from areas where your quest for freedom left you battered by the storms of persecution, persecution, by the storm of persecution, and staggered by the wind of police brutality. You have been the veterans of creative suffering continue to work with the faith the unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi. Go back to Alabama. Go back to the South Carolina. Go back to South Carolina. Go back to Georgia. Go back to Louisiana. Go back to the slum and the ghetto of our northern city, knowing that somehow this situation will be changed. Let us now mallow in the valley of despair, I say today, my friends. And so even though we face the difficult of today and tomorrow, I still a dream. It's a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold this truth to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the son of former slave, in the son of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even state of Mississippi, a state of sweltering with the heat of just injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream today. I have the I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama with its vicious races, with its governor having his lips dripping the words of interposition and nullification. One day, right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and little white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The root places will be made plain, and crook the crooked place will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope, and this is the faith that I go back to the south with. With the faith, we will able with the faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go jail together, to stand for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. And this will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. Make country, tis of three sweet lands of liberty, of the icing Allah, of the sing lands where my fathers died, land of the Phlegrean pride, from every mountains let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring from the privileges hilltop of New Hampshire. Harm. And so let freedom ring from the privileges hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightened alley. Let freedom ring from let freedom ring from the heightening allegiance of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the heightening allegiance of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring the curvaceous slope of California. But not only that. Let freedom ring from the Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring. And when this happens, and we allow freedom ring. And when this happens, and when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up the day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negros spiritual. Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. Thanks for watching, and that's all. Thank you. I'm sorry for my fault because ngayon wala po ito nabasa. Sorry po.